In this video, I want to talk about executive function and why your ASD partner can work a 60-hour week but can't do the dishes. Let me start with a comment I see all the time under my videos about chores and domestic equity. How is it possible that my ASD husband can manage a high-level job, work 60 hours a week, lead teams, solve complex problems, but somehow can't remember to take out the trash or load the dishwasher? If you, as the NT wife, have ever had the thought, this feels unfair, or am I being played, or is this weaponized incompetence? Well, you're not cruel for thinking that. You're responding to a very real mismatch between what you see at work and what you experience at home. Today, I want to explain what's actually happening without excusing harm, without blaming either partner, and then give you a concrete strategy that actually helps. First of all, let's reframe the problem. Here's the core idea I want you to hold on to. Here we are talking about a neurological difference between structured performance, which is work, and unstructured initiation, which is home. This is not about intelligence, motivation, or caring. It's about how executive function works in different environments. Executive function isn't a single skill. It's a system, a set of brain processes that helps us to initiate tasks, transition between tasks, organize steps, remember what needs doing, and sustain effort without external structure. And here's the key distinction most couples miss. Executive function behaves very differently in structured environments than in unstructured ones. Work is usually highly structured. Home, almost never. Okay, so let's talk about structured performance versus unstructured initiation. And let's start with structured performance. At work, most jobs provide clear start and stop times, defined roles, external deadlines, visual priorities, built-in accountability, and predictable routines. For autistic adults, this structure acts like scaffolding for executive function. The brain doesn't have to initiate nearly as much. It's responding to systems already in place. Now let's compare that to home. Home requires unstructured initiation. For example, notice what needs doing, decide when to do it, interrupt another activity, transition without warning, prioritize competing needs, and complete tasks with no external feedback. That's not easier, it's neurologically harder. So what looks like he can function everywhere except where it matters most is often actually his executive function collapses when external structure disappears. Now let's talk about why this feels so unfair, okay? And this part matters. For the non-ASD partner, this doesn't just feel confusing, it feels unjust. Because from your side as the NT spouse, it looks like you're carrying the mental load, you're anticipating needs, you're managing the household, and you're doing it without praise, pay, or performance reviews. Meanwhile, your ASD spouse's competence shows up somewhere else. And that can trigger resentment, loneliness, and a sense of being invisible. And I want to say this clearly, listen. Understanding the neurological explanation does not erase the emotional impact. You're allowed to say, I'm exhausted, this isn't sustainable, I need partnership, not explanations. Both realities can exist at the same time. Now let's talk about what doesn't work. I want to quickly name the usual things that make things worse. Repeating verbal reminders, waiting for initiative to magically appear, framing chores as obvious, assuming refusal instead of overload, and escalating frustration without changing structure. If the problem is initiation without structure, more pressure doesn't create capacity, it creates shutdown or avoidance. Now, I want to talk about my collaborative task mapping strategy. So let's look at what does help. You don't lower your expectations, you change the environment. Here's a simple but powerful approach I call collaborative task mapping. Step 1, externalize the task. Stop keeping it in your head. Use visual checklists, a shared digital task board, a whiteboard in the kitchen. Not as a reminder so much, but as external executive function. Step 2, define the task narrowly. Do the dishes is too vague. Instead, do the dishes after dinner. Plates go to the dishwasher. Run dishwasher. Wipe counter. Specific steps reduce initiation paralysis. Step 3, create predictable timing. Work has transitions. Home usually doesn't. Choose every night at 8:30 or immediately after dinner. Predictability reduces cognitive load. Step 4, pair with transitions. Autistic adults struggle most with switching tasks. So try a 10-minute buffer, a timer, a consistent cue, for example, music, alarm, a routine phrase. What you're doing here is you're recreating the transition scaffolding that he already has at his place of work outside the home. 5, review together, not as a parent, not as a boss. You're going to ask, okay, what part of this is hardest? Where does your brain get stuck? Or what would make this easier to start? This keeps the conversation collaborative, not adversarial. Now let's talk about equity over equality. Here's the reframe I want you to leave with. Domestic equity doesn't mean equal effort. It means sustainable systems. If one party has to carry invisible labor forever, the relationship erodes. If the other partner is expected to function without structure they don't neurologically have, they fail repeatedly. And at some point, they may just give up. Now the NT wife is really stuck. The goal isn't blame. The goal is designing a home that supports both nervous systems. And yes, this takes effort from both people. Now, if this resonated, you're not alone and you're not unreasonable for wanting more. You're asking for partnership. Like, subscribe, and comment regarding how household chores have caused problems for you, and also maybe what you have found in the way of some solutions. I read and respond to all comments. I'll see you in the next video. Would you like to schedule a paid private coaching session? This will be in the form of a face-to-face Zoom call. Underneath any of my videos, you'll see this Calendly link. If you click on that link, it'll open up my calendar. You can pick the available days and times that works for your schedule. You'll get a follow-up email immediately after purchasing a session that will have the Zoom link that coincides with the day and time that you picked. I will get an email too that you scheduled a session, and I will be available on that exact day and time, and we will talk. I look forward to working with you.